We are continuing Dream Children, a Reverie. Let us recap the portions we have learned in the last class. Hope you remember. Charles Lamb explains to the children that Grandmother Field slept in a lonely room in the house. She believed that the house was haunted by the ghosts of the children who died there. However, she was not afraid because she was religious. When Lamb was a child, he was really afraid because he was not as good and religious as Grandmother Field. Then, during the holidays, Lamb used to roam around the house, wander around the house, looking at the 12 statues of Caesars who ruled Rome. He used to wander in the garden, looking at the fruit trees, watching the fish in the pond, and he used to spend a lot of time in the garden, and he had the garden all to himself. He was very uh, lonely, or he spent the time alone in the garden. Occasionally some solitary gardening men came that way. Let us continue from there. One thing you might have noticed that this essay Dream Children is not divided into separate paragraphs, so it might be a bit difficult for you to read it. So for our convenience, I have divided the chapter into small paragraphs here. This is not in fact the opening of the paragraph, but it is somewhat in the middle. I am starting from where we left off in the last class. See, young Charles Lamb, as a child, he was spending his times alone in the garden, and he was alone there, and then from there we start. When now and then, occasionally, a solitary gardening man would cross me, and how the nectarines means a sweet red fruit, and peaches, a European fruit, hung upon the walls of the garden, without my ever offering to pluck them. So the house had very rich gardens around it, and during the holidays, Lamb, as a young boy, used to spend there, and there was nectarines, peaches, and even though he was very small, even though children are very much tempted to pluck flowers or fruits, he was not tempted to pluck them because they were forbidden fruit. See, the reason why he felt that um, the fruits were forbidden, because he knew very well that Grandmother Field was not the owner of the house. She was only the caretaker of the house. So for him, he was sensible enough to understand that it is not fair, it is not good to pluck the fruit. So even though there were nectarines and peaches so sweet, he never tried to pluck them. Unless now and then, occasionally. So even though he didn't pluck it, occasionally, now and then, uh, he used to get the fruits somehow. Probably Grandmother Field gave him. Otherwise, he didn't pluck it. And because I had more pleasure in strolling, that means walking in a quiet, leisurely manner, about among the old melancholy looking yew trees or firs, and picking up red berries and fir apples. His favorite pastime was to walk in a leisurely manner through the garden, where there were a lot of trees, like yew trees. Yew trees, it is a type of tree that is usually found in Europe, and the leaves of the this particular trees will be hanging down, and when we see them, we get a feeling that the trees, they are sad, melancholy means sad. So that is why he says that the trees are described as old melancholy yew trees, the trees that looked sad. Or fir tree. Fir tree is a type of tree that is usually used to make Christmas, and picking up red berries and fir apples. He used to pick up the red berries and fir apples, but he didn't eat them, he says, which were good for nothing but to look at. So he didn't uh, eat them. It was not good. It was only good to look at. Another interesting pastime for him was or lying in about upon the fresh grass with all the fine garden smells around me. So another uh, favorite pastime of his was to spend times just lying on the fresh grass in the garden with all the fine garden smells around me, the fragrance of the good smells of garden, probably of flowers, of fruits, etc. Or basking in the orangery. Basking means enjoying the sunlight, enjoying the warmth of the sunlight in the orangery. Orangery is a protected place for growing oranges. So just imagine a young boy spending his vacation in the garden, in the orangery, spending times in the sun. In the orangery, till I could almost fancy myself ripening too, along with oranges and limes. And he was so imaginative, and he felt that when he spent the times in the garden, in the fruit garden, he felt that he himself is ripening along with the oranges and limes. That means it is a metaphorical way of saying that he felt that he himself is getting better and better uh, with the oranges and limes in that grateful warmth. So grateful warmth. He felt that he himself was grateful because he was able to spend his time there, and the warmth, he felt that that warmth is grateful. Or uh, in watching the days, days is a type of fish that darted to and fro in the fish pond at the bottom of the garden. So he used to watch in the garden pond uh, the days, a type of fish which moved quickly to and fro in the fish pond at the bottom of the. So when he stared at the garden pond, in the bottom of the pond, the water was so clear, and he could see that this type of fish called days darting in the darting at the bottom of the garden, with here and there a great sulky pike. Pike is a big fish. Sulky means it's a metaphorical way of saying, it is a figurative way of saying the fish was not in a very good mood. Sulky, a big sulky pike, hanging midway down the water in silent state. You might have seen such uh, ponds where big fish they will be uh, they will be hanging midway down the water in quite silently. We may feel that it is not, it is something like statue hanging midway down the water in silent state, as if mocked at their impertinent friskings, as if it mocked at their impertinent friskings. These pikes, it seemed to him that these pikes mocked at the impolite movements of the other type of fish called days. So this pike is standing there silently while the days is darting to and fro. So it seemed to young Charles Lamb that this particular fish, pike, is making fun of the impertinent, impolite movements of the other fish. Then uh, I had more pleasure in these busy diversions than in all the sweet flavors of peaches, nectarines, oranges, and such like common baits of children. So he acquired more pleasure from these idle diversions, busy idle diversions. He liked to spend times watching the fish, spending times in the garden, orangery, mm, uh, better than rather than uh, spending times after sweet flavors of peaches, nectarines, oranges, and other common baits of children. See, fruits are temptations for children. Children like to eat peaches, nectarines, oranges, etc. But lamb liked better, liked it more to spend times basking in the sun, in the orangery. So that is why he said that he didn't pluck the fruit except when it is given to him. So see the expression busy idle diversions. It is an oxymoron. See, oxymoron is a particular condition in which two opposite ideas are brought together. Busy idle diversions. Busy and idle, they are contradictory. Diversions means something that divert our mind, something that engage us. So, the, this particular kind of construction is used in order to express the his happiness or his involvement there. Here, John slyly, playfully deposited back upon the plate a bunch of grapes, which, not unobserved by Alice, he had mediated, planned dividing with her, and both seemed willing to relinquish them for the present as irrelevant. See, now John, this young boy, his reaction was like this. He had plucked, he had taken he had stolen a bunch of grapes from the plate, and he had planned with Alice to divide it between her. And now, as their father was not interested as a child to uh, eat peaches, nectarines, etc., John felt that he had better place it back, and they had decided to relinquish. Relinquish means give up them for the time being as irrelevant.